Hi, me again. I wanted to talk to you about humidity and guitars. I was prompted to do this by a thread on the Acoustic Guitar Forum very recently, but it rang some bells with me. Now, I live in the south of England, and as you know, the weather in England is always perfect, and generally speaking, we don't have too much in the way of extreme humidity. Most of us live in houses that are built of brick, two solid walls of brick. Many of us put insulation in between, and we have double glazed windows, and we have usually gas-fired central heating, which means hot water is going through radiators in every room in winter. So apart from the depths of winter, the humidity in this house, which is relatively new, it was built in 1980, is between 40 and 50%. And I think my hygrometer, which was just been sitting next to my backside, is saying 50%. I'm going to talk about that later. Last year, I was still very ill from the cancer treatment, and I didn't really have the energy or the ability to take good care of my instruments, most of which were in cases. But my friend Mando Bob said to me, just before we had to stop playing together, he said, "Andrew, you're a miserable so-and-so, but the only time I see you really happy is when you're playing guitar. And so keep a guitar out and ready for yourself to play, and play whenever you think you can, just to keep your hands in," which was a lovely thought, and I was very touched. I did, and this was the one I kept out. This is a Collins 000-2H, Collins version of the 12 fret 000-28 by Martin, a Martin design, the largest guitar available from Martin's from 1902 to 1929, or maybe 1931 when they bought the Dreadnought out. And it sat in my lounge, and because I had lost so much weight, I was always cold. So we had the heating on at maximum for probably about 4 months, something like that. And I do believe that humidity in this house went down to about 20% for a long period of time. Now, something that someone has very, very kindly put up on the Acoustic Guitar Forum is a 14-page document by Jean Larrivee about guitar care and maintenance. I'm not going to go through all 14 pages, but it does stress the importance of knowing about the humidity of your guitars. Most guitars, it would seem, are built in an environment of about 40 to 50% humidity. So when they're sitting here in 40 to 50%, nothing much is going to happen. But wood is an organic thing, and it soaks up and it gives up moisture. And so I expect we've all seen pictures of great big cracks and tops coming away from backs and sides and terrible things like that. That's in extremis, but I found that leaving this out for a few months in a lower than normal relative humidity did have bad effect. The first effect that I noticed was that the frets started feeling a little bit uncomfortable. Now, strangely enough, they don't feel so bad. I was actually going to have them done. No, they don't catch my fingers there, but they did. They really did. The other one was I was getting some, still got that a bit, really nasty buzzing on some of the strings on a guitar that was previously perfectly set up for me. And so, coming back to this Jean Larrivee document, I'm just going to read out some of the points. He's saying, if the relative humidity, I can't explain to you relative humidity, let's just call it humidity for the time being, and it varies with temperature. but relative humidity of 35 to 40%, no major problems should occur. After 3 days, the fret ends may feel a little bit sharp, soundboard may appear slightly concave, action may lower slightly, and you get buzzes. 25 to 35%, the frets will start to feel sharp because the neck, the ebony or rosewood neck, will shrink fractionally, but the steel doesn't. So they start sticking out towards the end, just enough to catch your fingers. He also says that the top may collapse. I think that's a dramatic word. Let's just say concave. Guitar buzzing, and he goes on 0 to 10. It becomes 0 to 10% humidity, or shall we say 0 to 20%. Bad things can happen, and joints can become unglued, and the bridges can lift away. Anything that's glued together where the humidity changes so much that the wood moves against another bit of wood could be problematic. On the other side of things, if you go up into high humidity, the sound quality, I call it getting tubby, and I don't mind it too much because in summer we had some really hot weather here, and then we had some heavy rainstorms, and I noticed that the humidity was about 60%, and I call it tubby. The guitar sounds tubby, which I don't mind too much. But then Mr. Larrivee is saying that the top will fill with water, over dramatizing things, but it will come up, so the action will come up a little bit, right? And there's a dry sound and there's a warm sound. Not a wet sound, but tubby is how I describe it. And so that's something else to think of. And again, if you're getting two different woods, like an ebony bridge and a spruce, you know, that could start moving. And of course the braces inside. The top and back will appear bellied, that's convex. Playability could be affected because the action's going up, and it's in dramatic situations the fretboard from the 14th fret up, or at least where the body meets where the fretboard meets the body, might start raising a little bit. He says the guitar will start to have a musty smell after a couple of months, and I haven't noticed that. But there we go. He's talking about 85 to 90% and mildew and terrible things like that. Well, let's not go to extremists. Presumably this document will be available on the Larrivee website. I haven't looked for that yet, but I will, and I will put a link if I can find it underneath this. So, the better the guitar, the better quality the guitar, the more susceptible they are to this humidity issue. Be it warm. So, what have I done in preparation for, it's now the 3rd of September, and we're into autumn now. I try to put off switching on our heating until October, but I'm a skinny old git now, and I feel the hot cold a lot more, so it might go on earlier. So I bought myself a couple of things. Again, other ideas. Lots of humidifiers on sale. I found these. Can you see that? It's a triangular thing. It's got a little hole to put there in. That small thing has a little bit of foam rubber in, and you can drop some water in there, and then it fits between the strings. I've got a feeling that this might be a copy of another product. I bought these on eBay. I think they came from China. £1 or £2 each. So I put those in there. Not so they drip. The other thing I discovered was soap dishes. Little soap dishes. And put into them more than this. These have evaporated when these had been thoroughly. These are water beads. I have absolutely no idea of the real purpose of water beads, but I got them for pennies on eBay, and I put them in a jam jar, and they blew up to the size of marbles, and they're now like that. When I got them, they were like seeds, little tiny specks. And so you fill that up with those, and I drilled a few holes in this thing, and I stuck this to the inside of the guitar cases with a little bit of Velcro. And I made one mistake. One of them was too full and a bit too wet, and it dribbled a little bit of sticky fluid on the side of the guitar. I put them in the guitar case there, and had the guitar case up, and it dribbled a little bit of water there. Not a good idea, and I managed to clean it out without too much trouble. But I'm not saying that these are not without some issues, so be a bit cautious about it. Small holes, and check on your guitar regularly. So how do you know whether you've got another problem or not? I have something called a thermohygrometer. In fact, I've got loads of them. Again, I bought them off of eBay. This might look remarkably like a product sold under the brand name Oasis. I won't say that they're exactly the same, but they're very, very similar. They have a limited relative humidity range. Below about 20% they don't register. But if you're not getting a registration on the humidity side, then you've probably got a problem. They're powered by little CR2032 batteries. They last quite a long time. I keep them switched on, and I keep them stuck in the case, or about the house actually. They vary in accuracy. They differ with each other, sometimes as much as 10%, but they're a guide. They're a guide to whether you've got an issue. And so I think these things are largely designed for vivariums, for people that keep snakes or lizards. I don't understand that, but there we go. But it gives you an idea of a humidity problem. So those are available for a few pounds, dollars, or whatever. So with that, and with these and my water beads, and with that in the cases, I'm a bit more prepared for next year. So if you've got a really good